Nope, it's been 100% reliable. Yeah. Touch wood. Where's some wood? Some nice wood there.
That is real wood.
It is real wood, yes. My name is Tony Kenworthy. I'm from the United Kingdom, London, and I've been in Malaysia since 2007. I came over here to work for, I was in the airline business before. I was working for Five Flight Airlines, based up at Sabang Airport nearby. Okay. So that's how I ended up in Malaysia, yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit of a petrol head, I would say, so I've always been into cars. Since I was like a kid, really. My father had a 220S, a Ponton from 1959, and I remember we went on holiday to Europe, went to France and Italy, Switzerland, and we stopped on the way. We were in the garage, and we parked right next to a 300 SL near the Gullwing. So that was that kind of started me off on my petrol head journey. Yeah, I've still got the little Corgi model of it actually. Yeah. I've been looking around for a car for several years, and you're looking Muda, Facebook Marketplace, places like that online, and this car came up, and there's just a couple of pictures, and there wasn't much to say it was a masterpiece. It's just like a 95 Mercedes, and a couple of pictures like the back seat. Not very good pictures actually. You couldn't really see the car at all, but when he said it's 95, I thought it's one of the Facebook, facelift models. So I thought, okay, I'll go and have a look at it. So I went up there, and I remember when I was stood outside the guy's condo, a South Korean chap, very nice chap, retired, who'd had it for the last 6 years. And when he drove out, I remember looking at it, and he drove out, and I could see the masterpiece sign on the back. I thought, oh, it is actually a masterpiece, So it's just by chance, really. I mean, I've been looking for a few years on and off at cars, and 129s as well. And when this one came up, I thought, well, I better buy it, otherwise I'm probably not going to see another one in the near future. As you know, it's a special Malaysian built car. I believe it's something like the last 1,000 cars were called a masterpiece just for the Malaysian market. So there's certain bits and pieces which they put onto the car to differentiate it from the facelift cars, which are made between 93 and 95. So 95 was the final year for Malaysia, although I think they kept building cars into 96 in India, even 97. But the final cars in Malaysia were classed as masterpiece cars, and a few extra bits and pieces in the cabin and outside, including the alloy wheels, six-hole alloys, which differentiate between the standard cars. The rear blind you can probably see on the back there, the interior blind, it's electric. And in the cabin, well, we've got the SRS airbag for the passenger side, which is, I think it was optional generally on cars, but they specified it on the masterpiece cars. The gear knob has got like a wooden insert on the top with the masterpiece inscription on it, and the steering wheel is leather and wood, and of course you've got the walnut dash. I think it's walnut or some walnut dash here. That's basically it, and of course the insignia on the back, and the little masterpiece badge on the back of the car. Yeah, well, it's quite nice. It's a 2.8 engine, 2.8 litres, so it's quite powerful. 193 brake horsepower. It'll do 143 miles an hour, so it's quite a fast car. Although I don't drive it fast in my age nowadays, but in my racing days, I would have quite liked to have something like this. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a very solid car. It feels good on the road. It's got, as I forgot to mention, it's got the highest suspension for Malaysian roads. It's specified that from you. Bought it in December 2020, so just over a year ago. I bought it actually on Christmas Eve. So I went down to Puskapom up in Wang Samaju with the owner, and we did the whole thing ourselves. And I drove back in the rain. It's just getting dark actually. I drove back in the rain. So I'm trying to work out, how the wipers work and the headlights and everything else. I couldn't really see much. It was quite interesting, yeah. You got it back safely. When I bought it, the brakes were a little bit on the soft side. So I took it into my tech, and we decided to change all the brake pads, front and rear. Obviously new brake fluids, and just generally check the car over. So that's just a general service. with oil change, filters, air filter as well. So just general things. Tyres were quite new, so they're only a couple of years old, so we left the tyres on. So that was an initial thing, not much. And since then, we just reconditioned the air conditioning. I think we had to change the pressure switch. We thought we had a bit of a leak, but it turned out it was a pressure switch where we dismantled like all the aircon basically, except for the inside the dash. So we dismantled it, and in the end it was a pressure switch that was causing it. So we replaced that. That's about it really, just general routine maintenance. The previous owner, he had it for about 4 or 5 years. And I've got the records from then, from his ownership. And I've got the original documentation from the service book when it was new, and the first couple of stamps. He spent, I think, about 10 or 12,000 ringgit over the 3 or 4 year ownership they had the car. What's that? That's about 3,000 or 4,000 US dollars, right? Yeah, on the invoice I got, it's just over 260,000 ringgit. In 1995, yeah, which was some money, right? It's still a bit of money now, isn't it? I mean, I think the new ones now are about a bit more than that. The new ones, right? I like the fact that it's it's a limited edition, so I think it will probably always hold its value if I maintain it properly and keep it serviced and everything he's doing. There won't be any depreciation. Let's say that. The E-Class were very popular in Germany for taxis, and the 123, the 124. I think even nowadays, they're Mercedes taxis. They put the taxi pack in there. They give a special strengthening in the back and special equipment in the back in the rear seats called the taxi packet. And I lived in Germany for a few years, so I've spent some time, quite a lot of time in the back of these as a passenger. And so I knew how comfortable they were, and they're quite strong, Yeah, it's one thing I was concerned, because obviously you get very hot temperatures. You can go up, up to 35, 36 degrees air temperature in Malaysia. Generally, the car runs at about just under 80 Celsius, so just under about 78, something like that. If I'm sat in traffic for any period of time, slow-moving traffic, it'll just hit 80. But I've never seen it above 80. But when I first bought it, the brakes were a little bit spongy. Actually, we ended up changing the front discs as well. And I thought about getting them skimmed, but it didn't seem to be worth it. By the time you've done that, just put some new discs on. They're only about 150 ringgit each, which is what, 30 pounds sterling, which I work in pounds. So about 150 ringgit Mercedes original brake disc. So that's the other thing I want to mention, that the car parts are quite reasonable. I mean, you can buy them anywhere, and even spare parts, second-hand bits and pieces, you can pick them up. They sold a lot of these 124s in Malaysia, so there's no problem with spare parts. I think any mechanic can more or less work on these cars. We're planning to do some road trips. I've joined a couple of clubs, local clubs, the Malaysian 124 Club and my Classic Car Club. That's the two of them. I'm thinking of joining the MS, Malaysian Singapore Vehicle Club as well. And they do regular trips. They go up to the East Coast and up to down to Singapore, up to Penang. So I'm really looking forward to doing that with the car. In terms of maintenance on the car, could probably do with a bit of TLC on the paintwork. I believe it's original paint, Sapphire Schwartz. The code is 009. It's starting to fade a little bit in the sun, on the roof, on the boot lid as well. It's starting to fade a bit, so probably treat it to maybe a new coat of paint. But it is original paint, which is 25 years old, so there's no rust in the car. But I think just to keep it in good condition, we'll probably do some touch-ups here and there. Anyone who appreciates like quality, build quality, so the cars are very well built. I think it's over-engineered actually. It's like they call them the tanks. I'm not quite sure if that's correct, but they're extremely strong cars. You can see, I think it's one of the first cars they used lightweight steel, which is very strong in their construction. So I think this is one of the first cars ever that used that. So anyone who likes a safe car, it's obviously got plenty of space. The boot is quite big as well. Would appeal to lots of different people actually. Probably more on the older end than the younger end. But I don't know. I've seen some younger guys drive around in the 124s as well. So there is some appeal for the young generation as well. Definitely. Yeah. A lot of the guys like myself, their fathers used to have Mercedes, so they remember when they used to get taken to school and things like that. So yeah.